One of the things that often comes up when the inevitable discussions come around every year about, hey, if you're going to add new categories at the Academy Awards or something, what should they be? A lot of people will often say stuntman. I think that's problematic, although in theory it's good, but I think it's problematic. But one of the things that's often come up that I've appreciated is kind of the opposite sides of the same coin. Discussions of ensemble cast, which SAG already celebrates. I mean, SAG celebrates the category of best ensemble. That's one. And then casting, which that's why I think those are the two sides of the same coin. Casting, because these are literally things that have a direct impact on what we see on screen, and casting is pivotal. Well, it was just announced that BAFTA, that's basically the British equivalent of the Academy Awards that do movies and television, by the way. BAFTA has just announced that they are indeed adding casting. This comes to us from Variety. They wrote this. I am delighted that a casting award will be introduced at both the Film and Television Craft Awards this year, said Maleficent casting director Lucy Beavan. It's a great honor for our industry to be recognized by BAFTA, and I look forward to seeing many deserving, talented casting professionals receive the award in the years to come. Now, why I think this is so significant is some people will sometimes bring up the idea of, hey, trailers and marketing have a lot to do with the success of a movie. Should that be an Academy category? And I've often said no, because that has nothing to do with what actually is in the movie. That has nothing to do with actually ends up in this piece of art, the movie. You're promoting that movie, but that has nothing to do with this. The casting, though, Rob, the casting is one of the frontline things about how we perceive and look at and how the texture of a movie is going to turn out, by getting the right people in the right roles. And if you're going to do, I think, set design, which has a direct impact on our experience of the film, if you're going to do hair and makeup that have a direct result of our experience of the film, then I don't see how you don't include a category like casting, which has, once again, a direct impact on how we see, view, and experience of film. I think this is a no-brainer. So, Rob, I also think that the Academy should probably follow suit, and I think the Oscars should follow BAFTA's lead here and adopt this. Get rid of the stupid never speak again of this ridiculous best popular movie category, you freaking morons. Never speak of that again. If you want to introduce a new category, let's introduce something that actually has merit and artistic value, like the skill and craft of a casting director, skillfully matching up the right roles with the right performers. I think do that, Rob. Anyway, how do you see this? And am I overlooking something here that maybe should disqualify this from the conversation? Do you think maybe the Academy should just sit back and see how it works for BAFTA? Or do you think they should move on it right now? How do you see it?
Well, okay. First of all, let me just preface this by saying working with casting directors has been some of the most gratifying and fun times I've had on projects, because most of the projects that I'm involved with are reliant upon casting directors to get the cast we need to get them funded, because you're working at the independent level. In Britain, actors are the acting profession is smaller, and the casting directors, when they're allowed to do their job, can be invaluable. They think outside the box. They find people you might not have initially thought of for a role, and a great casting person really does bring amazing insight and foresight into bringing actors in that might not have popped yet, and they're great. However, when it comes to studio movies, casting directors have less power and they're allowed less innovation, because studio movies are reliant upon putting a cast together that they can justify the larger budgets. So I think that there is you can go one of two ways. I don't think it would be necessarily a bad thing to allow casting to be recognized by the Academy. However, I do think that casting, as far as studio movies go, is less important as it is for more indie films, because studio movies are only going to greenlight films based on a certain, a very small group of people that they're going to put into the main roles. Now, all the other roles have to be cast, of course, but in indie movies, casting directors, I think, have a lot more leeway and bring a lot more to the table than they do in studio pictures. So I could see giving an Independent Spirit Award for casting directors to start with, and then maybe see how it goes with the Academy. But maybe I'm wrong.
It reminds me of that time we had Kevin Feige, James Gunn, and Chris Pratt in studio to talk about this upcoming new movie they had called Guardians of the Galaxy at the time. And I remember asking Gunn, I saying, how did you come about choosing, Chris Pratt? And he told the story on the show about how it's all our casting director.
Yeah.
Like our cast, I was looking, he said, at three other guys for it. And our casting director, and I forget her name at the time, but she was like, she kept saying, I need you to meet with Chris Pratt. And James Gunn was like, the Parks and Rec guy. Anyway, set up these meetings with these other, and she said, she just kept coming back. This is your guy. This is your guy. So finally he relented and said, fine, let's take this meeting. And he's like, oh my God, you're right. And he went on to talk about how much of the casting was a direct result of her influence. I think you're right. I think there is more of the weight is probably put to the producers and the directors when it comes to casting. But in that one example, at least over at Marvel, their casting people, their casting directors, I guess, play a really pivotal part there. On that level. But I guess you're right. It probably would vary from project to project. Chris, as somebody who, you and Aaron both often fall at the mercy of casting directors, what do you think about the notion of a casting category, outstanding casting, getting a spot at the Academy Awards? What do you think about that?
I think it's long overdue. And Aaron can definitely attest to this. Casting is who we have to suck up to the most. Oh my gosh. We have to keep in contact with casting directors. We have to cultivate relationships with them. We need to make sure that people remember our names. There's a reason why people in LA can make so much money making actors postcards for them, because we've got to constantly do mail outs and emails and send holiday gifts to remind people that we exist, and maybe you should let us go try to talk in a room in front of you and see if we're worthy of your movie. Casting makes some really, really tough decisions, and they really set the tone of a film. And like you pointed out with the James Gunn situation there, sometimes you can't see the trees through the forest, and that's what the casting director's there to do. I know you need this person. This is the person who is unexpected but going to crush it.
What you just said, Chris, and John, what you pointed out, Marvel's in a unique position in that they can truly allow casting directors to do their jobs because they're less reliant on the fact the studio is not necessarily going to greenlight. Look at who they put in the lead role of Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Right.
That's an actor, Sammy.
I should know because it's
Canadian
a Canadian
boy.
kid.
Like
yeah.
I was rewatching the Expanse season 3. And that actor played a grunt as part of the Martian Marines in 2 episodes of The Expanse season 3. And now he's the lead actor in Shang-Chi. What's amazing about Marvel's success is so much of their casting is because of great casting directors, because they're not contingent on greenlighting a movie based on who has the lead role. It's the concept itself. They're so lucky. And when James Gunn points out what a great casting director can do, I think that's part of their secret. And if studios would be less reliant upon getting, say, A-list stars to justify their big budgets, but they can't do that to a bank. They can't go, no, let our casting director do her job or his job. But that's exactly the James Gunn situation. Guardians proves beyond a shadow of a doubt what a great casting director can bring to the table.
And on top of that, let's not forget this too, that while probably some Warner Brothers films or Paramount films, like you got to get Tom Cruise attached, there's still about 15 to 20 other roles that need to be put into place to build that structure around them. And that's why I kind of like it. So listen, guys, I wanted to ask you guys as the topic of today's question of the day. With BAFTAs now introducing a casting category, do you think the Academy Awards should follow suit? Maybe it's premature. Maybe it's long overdue. I want to know what you guys think about that. I put up a poll just before we started the show, and right now, 65% of you are saying yes, they should add a casting category to the Academy Awards. 35% of you are taking a more cautious approach right now and saying, no, don't add casting to it right now. I'm going to leave this poll up for the rest of the day. Jump on over there to my Twitter. You can obviously just see it right here. My Twitter thing is just @John Campea. Go and cast your vote and let your voice be heard. All right.